Coming up on today's wrestling news, Liv Morgan is taking a WWE hiatus.
Last week's NXT call-up seemed pretty damn official.
A backstage reaction to WWE Unreal's trailer revealing WrestleMania plans.
And looking at social media, Backlash might be appropriately named.
I'm Adam Wilborn.
I'm Michael Sidgwick.
And this is the news. So let's talk all about Liv Morgan, Livy Omega, Liv Ospreay, as she is known by some people. Yeah, and Michael Hamflett as well. Because some big developments with her. We heard some rumours last night that this was going to be a big week for Liv Morgan, and it's been revealed on Raw that she is disappearing from our screens for quite some time. She revealed to the interim Raw general manager, I can't remember what his name is actually off the top of my head.
Nick Aldis.
Thank you, Nick Aldis. She revealed to him that she needs some time off, despite being one half of the women's tag team champions, because she's off to film a big Hollywood movie. She's after Hollyweird. And Mike Johnson of PW Insider noted the following with regards to this. Writing earlier today on PWInsiderElite.com, we know that there was talk she was going to have a big week next week. We've since been told that the film project will be officially unveiled next week and that Morgan has a major role in the film. So no word on what film it is yet, but also developments were revealed that WWE had initially thought, well, she's going to take some time off to film a movie. Let's take the tag titles off her and Raquel. And then they went, actually, no, it's better to help Becky Lynch's heel turn to flip-flop them basically to Becky and Lyra, and then subsequently back to Liv and Raquel. More on Becky and Lyra in a short while with regards to Backlash. But yeah, what a year Liv Morgan is having.
She's had an absolutely unbelievable year. She goes from strength to strength. First of all, congratulations, I guess. She has thoroughly deserved this move.
Yeah.
It's one of those where I read this story this morning and it just instantly clicked and went, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't she be getting scouted by Hollywood on the strength of her performances? Like, I know it's WWE and I know it gets called cinema. It's theatre, if anything else, but by the standards of like wrestling acting, which generally I don't think are particularly great compared to like, you know, other things. I think she's genuinely tremendous. Like her stuff with Dom completely made her break through as a star performer. It was almost like, I don't want to say disgrace, that's too much in the way of hyperbole, but I couldn't believe she got a featured singles match at WrestleMania. If it's meant to be a meritocracy under Paul Levesque, she absolutely deserved something massive and major to do at WrestleMania. 2024 arguably was her year. She was sensational. My favourite bit of Liv Morgan acting was when she was over on SmackDown. I think this was in ahead of one of the Saudi shows. And Tiffany Stratton was saying to Dominic Mysterio, if I win the title, does he come with me? Dominic's face was amazing as well. And he was like, hang on, am I getting hit on by a third woman in the Fed this year? And Liv Morgan just went, like that look, like the genuine cliche of if looks could kill. She was just like, don't you dare sell for that, Dom. Don't you dare. She looked quite terrifying as well. No, I think she's absolutely sensational. Congratulations to her. It doesn't really surprise me that Hollywood have come calling, and it's quite funny, that they've come calling for her ahead of other wrestlers in WWE, shall we say.
I do hope this is an opportunity for WWE to kind of re-establish the women's tag division, because right now, like I know they had the title defense on NXT last week, which was really good, Gigi Dolan, Tatum Paxley match. But right now, it's not like you're going, oh no, does that mean we're going to have to wait for this match? They've kind of fought everybody, or all the other tag teams that they've come up against have split or gone in different directions. I hope this is a time to like re-establish some real contenders in their wake. People like, I know they've interacted and probably fought them before. People like Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson from NXT, because I think you know that's where you should take the talent from. You've got several tag teams down there that could easily be transitioned up to the main roster as a way to sort of soft launch them on there and also protect them somewhat in terms of not getting too exposed in singles matches.
Yeah, I mean that's a naive, one might say.
I think that's fair.
Projection, but I'll let you have it. I'll let you have it. If nothing else, you know, Liv getting this massive movie role, details of which will be revealed this week or next. It should right the wrong, you could argue, of this year's WrestleMania, where certainly Io, Bianca and Rhea deserved that spot. That triple threat was absolutely sensational. I am in love with that match. I thought it was incredible. But, you know, Charlotte Tiffy didn't really do the business. I think Liv Morgan could have had a singles match at WrestleMania. This increased level of publicity and profile might allow WWE to right that wrong this year, ahead of next year, and give her that world title match at WrestleMania. Liv Morgan, I know she's wrestled her quite a bit over recent months, but if you don't do it until WrestleMania next year, Liv versus Io Sky.
Ooh,
They've got great chemistry. They had
yeah.
a great little sprint on Saturday night's main event. Liv Morgan is going from like strength to strength, progressing in ring. So that's what I would do if I was booking it, but I'm not. Just a little mark on YouTube. Switching gears, or rather not, we're going to stick with the women's division. It's been sort of made somewhat obvious by the fact that they've appeared on Raw in consecutive weeks that Julia and Roxanne Perez are now pretty much formally a part of the main roster. They were wearing those tops debut patches last week. It's always a bit funny, isn't it, this weird soft launch now that we're getting from NXT to the main roster, where you're sort of left not confused, but maybe a little bit confused. Maybe that is the word of like, well, hang on, who's actually joining the main roster? Is it Stephanie Vaquer? Why would she drop the title already? You know, the same thing happened with Ilya Dragunov. I know you were upset with that last year when he came up as NXT champion on the Raw after WrestleMania. Roxanne Perez appeared on Raw, or rather SmackDown, in the build to WrestleMania on this weird sort of ad hoc basis. So it's a bit strange, but yeah, it does feel like Perez and Julia are a double act, a main roster proper act, and I think that the women's division needed that in-ring strength.
Yeah.
And if you look at last night's Raw, which if you want in-depth analysis on, come and watch us or listen to us, WhatCulture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcasts from, and on YouTube. Yeah, it was a very sort of women's division focused episode of Raw last night, so they need to prioritize it. It's been one of the key sort of fumbles, that word's fashionable now, under the Paul Levesque regime of he hasn't done an awful lot with women's wrestling outside of Liv Morgan's big push. So the more the merrier for me.
Yeah,
it's the story of 2025, how awesome women's wrestling is, especially compared to the men's main event scenes across both American majors for me.
Yeah, Triple H is spoiled for choice, isn't he, right now? Like you mentioned, the three women in that incredible triple threat at WrestleMania.
And if you kicked so much ass, man.
If you're cherry picking talent from NXT, I mean, you can't really go very wrong. Like you say, Roxanne Perez has been pretty much on the main roster for the past 6 months now. Like, she had her amazing moments in the Rumble and Chamber and what have you. Like you say, this seems to be the sort of way forward now that everyone gets a bit of a go on the main roster before they're officially on there. Even Fraxima, I was trying to think of...
It's like they're using Charlotte Flair's weird decade ago soft launch is like the model now. I find it strange. They've never really cracked it, but I guess it's never really worked that well to begin with, so maybe an experimental approach, maybe a bit of like a trial, if you like, is the better way forward. I don't know, man.
Yeah, maybe this is their way of, you know, previously sometimes people would have a big sort of fanfare of being drafted or being brought up from NXT, and some people would be like, who the hell's this? People who watch NXT would know immediately.
Yeah,
maybe it's just like, here's them for a few weeks, and then, right, proper, here they are.
It's just odd, because there is a sort of, you know, more of a divide between main roster and NXT fans than I guess is sort of mentioned elsewhere. They are booking the returning stars as big deals, either getting vignettes, mystery vignettes, like the huge sort of like debut, so they're getting the balance right, I suppose. It's just a bit odd. Maybe it'll take some getting used to.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of NXT's women's division, they're going to be absolutely fine. You've still got Stephanie Vaquer for the time being, like Jordan Grace. Jada Parker obviously was involved in a big match over Stand and Deliver. Kalani Jordan, Sol Ruka's obviously women's North American champion.
Lash Legend is really becoming something down in NXT. I think she's great. But she's on the cusp of becoming great.
And I know you've been sort of leading the charge, calling for Roxanne Perez to come to the main roster
every
for
day.
Quite some time now.
Every day that gets said in the podcast studio upstairs.
But her and Julia, I mean, genuinely, Roxanne Perez has been ready for the main roster for about 2 years now. Yeah. They've sort of just kept her there so they can be like, how do you work as a heel? Not as good as you were as a babyface, to be perfectly honest. Julia, a lot more for a fast track. Weird sort of run for her ever since she's come into WWE.
Yeah, I don't think it's been very good, to be perfectly honest with you. But...
No, I don't. I hope now is the start of like, right, we've sort of got you into the WWE style, or however you want to describe it. Let's see what you can do. Yeah, exactly. Because she came in, she was a bit iffy initially to start with. She wins the NXT title, then she has to drop it because of injuries, but then actually she's well enough to work again at Stand and Deliver. Look, Julie's on the main roster, that's the main thing, and I hope both of them absolutely kill it. They will. They're mint. They're so good. Very excited to see what happens with them going forward. And obviously, they've been factored into Rhea Ripley and EO and Stephanie Vaquer as well, of course. Right, let's move on and talk about this Netflix docu-series, WWE Unreal. I mean, we know WWE is unreal, but this is a documentary talking all about the goings-on
I hate you so
Within
much. I hate
WWE.
you. I sometimes think I hate you.
You
man.
may have seen the trailer. It's been everywhere since WrestleMania, basically.
This is what we do.
Yeah, exactly. Peeling back the curtain, or whatever you want to describe it, of the ins and outs of WWE. I'm really excited to see what it looks like. You and I both love a good Netflix documentary.
Oh, we do indeed.
Yes, but interesting developments on this. In the trailer for the documentary, it's like 40 seconds long. There's like, bombastic shots of like Aisha Speed getting killed at the Rumble and Jey Uso getting a big push. There's also a brief shot of the creative room with loads of whiteboards on it, and everyone's been sort of eagle-eyed and paused it and zoomed in heads and looked in and seen potential WrestleMania matches that were considered maybe a few months back and subsequently nixed. Fightful, though, do some great reporting, catching up with WWE stars and asking them, what did you know about all this? And really interesting here, apparently some WWE personnel, wrestlers I should say, found out that they were planned for a WrestleMania match via the trailer. They had heard rumours that they may be considered for a match at WrestleMania that never came to pass, but they subsequently have seen all these people going, wait a second, who's that so-and-so match doing with this person? So that was what they were considering in December, January or whatever of the past few months. But yeah, they found out via the documentary that they had been considered for a WrestleMania match that never happened. Some of them were also really surprised to see Asuka's name on there. Obviously, she's still coming back from injury. Get well soon to her, because her return time was described as very ambitious if they ever thought she was going to work WrestleMania. It is a weird world that we live in, isn't it? That imagine if you and I found out about something relating to our jobs because someone freezed a YouTube video.
Yeah.
What's that there?
It is a bit strange, and I guess there's no real purpose behind peeling back the curtain. I'm interested very much to see how this sort of documentary appears. I know a lot of it will be, they're going to put themselves over in the process of making it. They are going to put themselves over in the process of making it.
That dinosaur's really not happy about that, if you can hear.
It's a dinosaur. It's a water cooler. It's a water cooler. It's not a dinosaur. I'm not reading too much into this at all. I will say, look, I know he's not perfect. No one is, including myself. Poor Dave Meltzer. Plans change became a meme.
Yeah.
For it's endured as long, almost, if not longer, as 6 stars in the Tokyo Dome and all this kind of stuff. Evidently, objectively, plans do in fact change. So it happens even under the way more tighter long-term stewardship of Paul Levesque. So plans do in fact change. It's one of those where a bit of a non-story this for me, if I'm editorializing or trying to. I can't read too much into it. I guess the only analogy we can think is ostensibly a big thing at WrestleMania for you to do is a promotion of sorts, right? I'm just trying to tie it to an analogy. If I was under consideration for a promotion here at WhatCulture Wrestling, right? And I was told in advance, it might be happening, might not. I would hate that. I wouldn't like the suspense. I'd be really annoyed if it didn't end up happening. I guess this kind of information is on a need-to-know basis if you are talent. I will say on the converse to that, if you were aware, we've got something lined up for you potentially. Here it is. You could then start to foreshadow it. You can start to tease it. You can start to build it if you're a talent, even with little subtle clues and signals with your choice of attire, for example. I know Karrion Kross has been hot on that recently. So there is sort of an argument either way. But for me, this is need to know and a non-story. Yeah,
it's one of those things, isn't it? I might try and do that this year, of me, you, and Hamlet sitting down and predicting WrestleMania's card next year, because it's always so up in the air until January, February, March even sometimes. There was even allusions last few months of is it going to be Karrion Kross versus Sami Zayn at WrestleMania? That obviously never came to pass. There was other matches that seemed to get teased and then never happened. It is one of those things that, sometimes they're just right, oh God, don't forget so-and-so's name, put them on the board. Right, put them with them for now, and we'll sort of stick a pin in it and come back to it. But I do want to see the bit in the Unreal docuseries thing where they're well, there we have it. Look at that whiteboard. That's our WrestleMania card. Excuse me, sir. Dwayne's here. Right, rub it all off. Start again. Because I think there was Punk Reigns was the big match that everyone was talking about. Obviously, that sort of came to pass, but things change, especially if Dwayne Johnson's involved.
Put it this way, we have to do at least one episode review on the podcast.
Yeah.
We have to do one.
No question.
Unquestionably, we are doing that. Got some breaking news here. Backlash looks like 2 packs of ass. You heard it here first. I mean, look, I'm not sure about this Backlash card. Like, I'm really not. So the rumored announced lineup for Backlash this year, the main matches are John Cena versus Randy Orton.
25 years in the making, that.
Jey Uso versus Logan Paul.
Yep.
And Gunther, Pat McAfee.
Mm-hmm. And Becky Lynch, Lara Valkyria.
I mean, that should be great. They've got precedent. They've got previous of doing great stuff together in NXT. It was either... Which one was it? Was it Halloween Havoc 2023?
Yeah, you got better break.
Potentially that. Anyway, there was a big, lengthy main event between Becky and Lyra on NXT, which is sort of being like a trial run to get Lyra Valkyria over on the main roster. This is all a vehicle to do precisely that. If the NXT form is any precedent, and it happened, Lyra Valkyria is going to have a very good year, maybe even a great year, so look forward to that. But the rest of the card, oh dear. Cena Orton, look, I'm not the audience for it. Sometimes half the WWE audience isn't even the audience for it. If you look at that reception to that encounter in the Royal Rumble several years ago, it will be slow. I think a lot of people were burned out on them wrestling over and over and over and over again. It was like a Botchamania, too many cooks meme at some point.
We looked on the Raw preview or SmackDown review yesterday about how many times they've wrestled each other, and it's like
58 televised.
Yeah, easy.
It's so that is going to be some struggle. Look, the finality of Cena's arc, the nostalgia, if you want to call it that, or the legacy, the history attached to it. Orton in his hometown, it'll probably work. It'll probably work for this modern WWE audience, truthfully, but my God, you'd want to supplement a spectacle, a nostalgic spectacle, if you're being kind, of a main event with some balance, some hot in-ring work.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to get that out of Jey Uso and Logan Paul, brother. I really don't. And Pat McAfee versus Gunther is, I don't know if anyone expected him to see that. Very, very weird. But I will say this, I am no fan of Pat McAfee. We'll go into it in depth on the review, on the Raw review, wherever you get your podcast from. I mean, he sold it as well as he possibly could.
Yeah.
You see that match graphic, or put it this way, if you saw that report broken, it would have been by Sean Ross Sapp, even in a hypothetical universe, right? Oh, they're doing Pat McAfee versus Gunther on the back of last week's angle, and that breaks 2 days ago. You'd think, what? Are they trying to enter this downward spiral post-Netflix era? Are they deliberately trying to tank interest in their own promotion? And yet, look, I'll say this. Half of the problem, or the battle rather, of building interest in a pro wrestling match, irrespective of how good it might be in the ring, is in the promos and in the build. And my God, Pat McAfee might have sold it already.
Yeah, I've got to say, I'm higher on it than you are in terms of...
You're higher on everything, aren't you?
Yeah, indeed. With how things look for Backlash. Yeah, look, Randy Orton, John Cena's a sort of legacy feud for WWE, and it is just a weird dynamic, obviously, having heel John Cena and Randy Orton and babyface.
I will say that's a new twist.
Yeah, that'll be fun to see what they do with that. But I think I worked out they have a combined age of about 92, so I don't know where the real spark's going to come from.
I was going to say data then.
Yeah. But in terms of the other matches, like Logan Paul versus Jey Uso, makes all the sense in the world in terms of I want Jey Uso to get at least one title defense before he drops it, because it seems inevitable. He's barely going to hold it for more than 2 or 3 months. It feels like that was just the WrestleMania moment, and now it's just booking it better than Kofi's WWE title reign, which is a low bar to try and clear.
Low bar.
But Logan Paul, if you want a dynamic of like you say, it's not going to be the best match of the year by any stretch of the imagination, but in terms of like, people hate Logan Paul, people love Jey Uso, the noise is going to be ridiculous for that one. Becky Lyra, I agree, is going to be, I think, right now the best worked match.
It's
on the
a
card.
really clever thing to do if you want to get Lyra Valkyria over, because Becky Lynch did a great job of that to NXT's audience.
Yeah, that was set up again on last night's Raw. I should reveal, by the way, spoilers, everyone. Becky Lynch was the one to attack Bayley. Who knew? Everyone. That's why she took her spot before. I was popping so much for Lyra Valkyria's stomp, clap, stomp, stomp, clap entrance to WrestleMania.
Stomp, clap, stomp, stomp, clap. Stomp,
Becky
clap.
came out, she still had the wings on. She still had the wings on. Take the wings off, love. But that is going to be unreal for the women's IC title, of course. And we were talking a bit about this yesterday on the podcast, that they need bigger matches for these women's mid-card titles. We saw Zelina Vega win the women's US title, but I want, like we talked about the 4 horsewomen being involved. Well, not all of them. Obviously, one of them's in AEW. Some of them being involved in these mid-card titles and what have you. Gunther, Pat McAfee, like you say, I was a bit thrown last night when they opened the show, and I was like, oh, Pat's just back. He's fine, I assume. But it was obviously because Backlash is like a week and a half away.
Hey, get your bloody schedules right.
Yeah.
Get your schedules right. So what you should do WrestleMania a week earlier.
Why is that?
Yeah, so I could have actually went.
He's being a very good dad and on holiday in the Lake District. So congratulations to you for that, for being a far better dad than, other dads on the WhatCulture Wrestling podcast who are spending their 40th, not with their children. But let's move on.
Where is the lie?
And talk about Gunther, Pat McAfee. Yeah, I want to see Gunther kill Pat McAfee. And if you're Corey Graves, you must be like, I guess I'm back on Raw. Let's go, because Gunther's going to kill him. I mean, you talked about Jey Uso blading his tits at WrestleMania.
Blade your tits, blade your tits.
What's Pat McAfee going to do?
Blade his face, blade his face.
He went a colour I've never seen him go before on that last week's Raw. And Gunther, should... If you're going to do something with Gunther that's not world title related, and it's not going to be immediately into some sort of Legends thing with Goldberg, having him kill Pat McAfee's great. And Pat McAfee will get one home spot.
I'll sure get some catharsis out of it. They're going to have to be careful, because Gunther, if you look back on his WWE run, I mean, he himself uses it as a selling point. He's been without a big title on 20% of that run. NXT UK, Intercontinental World Heavyweight. He's the guy who has the gold, and he's this invincible heel champion. So it is interesting terrain, a challenge for WWE. This is an interesting way to approach it. And it will be a challenge because you can't dent Gunther's aura. I'm not saying he's all aura, but if you look at the way he's been booked historically since coming to prominence, he's never not been presented as an absolute major deal. And to his credit, he substantiates that because he's amazing. But it's just interesting how you do, because you can't have him be a champion all the time. The very least, he's going to have to just slaughter McAfee. Slaughter him. I want to see at least 2 spots where he goes to pin him. Now, get back up.
Yes!
That has to happen at least twice. It has to be established that he could kill him within minutes if he wanted to, but he wants to inflict punishment.
Yeah, he was indefinitely suspended when he put his hands on him before.
Yeah, he wants to do it for sport. He wants to do it for relish. As a heel, you're meant to enjoy it, and then the arrogance will cost him a whole spot and a near fall. But yeah, I would say they have to be careful, but there's an easy and engrossing story here to be told.
Do this, then draft him to SmackDown and have him face Jacob Fatu for the US title. That's
oh my God.
We can dream. Anyway, let us know your thoughts on Backlash and everything we've discussed in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. You can follow us both on X, at @msidgwick, at AdamWilborn, at WhatCulture WWE for all of us. And in the meantime, why not watch this video right here? No idea what it is, but I'm sure it's bloody great.